The Emperor sent assassins to kill me, but I was too busy shielding his daughter from a world set ablaze. Kale Arden, cloaked in shadows, moves silently through the labyrinthine alleys of Vizara Prime's underworld. The worn walls and flickering streetlights create a maze of darkness where he's lived as a ghost. Suddenly, a frantic knock breaks the stillness. He opens a battered door to find Princess Celine, her once regal composure shattered by blood and desperation. Her eyes burn with a fierce resolve despite her injuries. The stark contrast between the rogue and royalty forging an uneasy bond amidst the encroaching danger. This unexpected arrival marks the beginning of an alliance born in crisis. Celine's voice cuts through the heavy silence, barely above a whisper but sharp with urgency. They want me dead. You're my only hope. Her vulnerability is palpable, tears mixing with streaks of grime and blood on her cheeks. Kale studies her conflicted face, a mix of fear and fierce determination. The plea feels like a lifeline thrown into his solitary existence. Though danger stalks them both, a spark of reluctant purpose ignites within Kale's guarded heart. Kale's mind races. He's no stranger to danger, hunted relentlessly by the Emperor's assassins for his acts of rebellion. Yet Celine's desperate plea stirs a defiant flame within him. The risk is immense. Protecting the princess means standing against an empire. His fingers tighten on the cold grip of his blaster as the weight of choice settles heavy. In this moment, Kale embraces the possibility that his final stand might also be his greatest act of resistance. A fight not just for survival, but for a future worth defending. Outside, the elite watchtowers of Vizara Prime glow ominously red, casting long, eerie beams across the darkened cityscape. The Emperor's grip tightens with every flicker of alert signals, as shadowy figures move swiftly through alleyways and rooftops. The city holds its breath, a silent witness to the storm brewing beneath its surface. Kale senses the tightening noose of assassins closing in. The quiet before chaos is palpable, and his resolve hardens. He will face the coming danger head-on, no matter the cost. Kale loads his blaster with grim determination, his gaze steely and unwavering. He steps into the night, the cold blue glow of his weapon cutting through the darkness. Celine follows closely, her presence a fragile but potent symbol of hope amid despair. If I'm going down, it won't be without a fight, and not alone, Kale vows, his voice low but fierce. The words hang in the charged air, signaling the start of a perilous journey where rebellion and destiny intertwine. Vizara Prime's imperial district gleams under the twilight, its towering spires and polished marble a testament to wealth and power. But beneath this dazzling facade, a labyrinthine network of spies and secret police operates in silence, turning the city into a palace of shadows. Behind every ornate window lurks eyes that watch and listen, puppeteering political rivals like marionettes in a deadly dance. Power here is a whispered threat, wielded through silence and deception, where no one is truly safe and betrayal hides behind every smile. Mechanical drones buzz tirelessly over the plazas and narrow streets, their unblinking lenses scanning every face and movement. The citizens move cautiously, their whispered fears thick with tales of sudden disappearances and secret tribunals held in darkness. Each shadowed corner feels like a trap, and freedom is nothing more than an illusion carefully crafted by those who watch from above. The relentless hum of surveillance drones creates a constant pressure, a cage from which escape seems impossible. Elite guards clad in ornate armor march through the streets with unyielding precision, their presence a constant reminder of the Emperor's iron grip. Loyalty is bought with fear and enforced with brutal consequences. Betrayal means swift death, often carried out in silence. Trust is a currency no one can afford, as alliances shift and fracture like brittle glass. Every glance exchanged between courtiers is a calculation, every whispered word a possible dagger in the dark. Beneath the palace's grand halls lies a network of secret tunnels, winding corridors, and encrypted comm channels humming with covert messages. These passageways serve as arteries of power and subversion, used both by loyalists and rebels. Here, shadowy figures exchange coded information and hidden threats, weaving a complex web of intrigue that few outsiders understand. The labyrinth is as dangerous as it is vital, a place where trust is scarce and one wrong step can lead to capture or death. Kale slips through bustling markets filled with wary eyes and through narrow, shadowed alleys where danger hides in every corner. Every face could be an informant or assassin. Every smile might mask lethal intent. His every step is calculated, blending into the crowded chaos as he evades watchful eyes and lurking enemies. Survival demands constant vigilance. One misstep could unravel his mission and endanger Celine's fragile hope for escape. Within the palace walls, the princess's protective detail has been compromised by fear and betrayal. Informants hide among the ranks, their loyalties fragmented and their trust fractured. Kale knows that relying on the official guard is perilous, forcing him to act independently to shield Celine from assassination attempts. The palace's supposed guardians have become another layer of danger, their fractured unity a testament to the Emperor's tightening control and the growing peril within. Kale stands at the heart of a sprawling web of deception, where lies and power intertwine in a deadly game. His mission is clear but perilous. Protect Princess Celine and unravel the Emperor's schemes before they seal her fate. Every secret uncovered and alliance forged could tip the scales between survival and destruction. In this palace of shadows, trust is scarce, and the line between friend and foe is dangerously blurred. Kale and Celine dart through the maze like catacombs beneath the palace, their breath shallow and hearts pounding. Ancient murals, faded by time, flicker faintly under the glow of dormant bioluminescent panels. The narrow passageways twist and turn, every step an urgent gamble as loyalist guards close in behind them. Dust stirs beneath their feet, shadows dancing on cold stone walls as they leverage forgotten tech. Rusted control panels and archaic doors to block pursuers. The claustrophobic corridors offer scant refuge. Each corner could conceal death or salvation. Yet, despite the danger, the pair move with a growing synchronicity, instinctively covering each other as they weave through the ancient underworld. Their escape is not just from enemies, but from the suffocating weight of their own secrets and divided loyalties. Celine allows herself a brief, sly smile despite the tension. For a traitor, you're surprisingly resourceful, she teases, eyes glinting with mischief. Kale grins in response, the weight of their flight momentarily lifting. And you're a royal pain in the backside. He fires back, his voice laced with humor and grudging admiration. The brief exchange cuts through the darkness, revealing the fragile camaraderie growing between them. Though worlds apart, one marked by rebellion, the other by privilege, they find common ground in their wit and will to survive. Their playful banter becomes a lifeline, a small light amidst the shadows chasing them. In the dim sanctuary of a hidden alcove, the duo's whispered conversation reveals the depths beneath their uneasy alliance. Celine speaks softly, her voice trembling with a hope long buried, a desire to reform the empire from within, to heal wounds wrought by cruelty and greed. Kale listens intently, eyes reflecting the flickering candlelight and newfound understanding. This fragile ember of hope contrasts sharply with his hardened cynicism, yet stirs something unexpected, a belief that change might still be possible. Their words, careful and cautious, weave a silent bond stronger than steel. In this shared vulnerability, the distance between them lessens, replaced by a connection born not just of necessity, but of genuine empathy. The Empire's shadows seem momentarily less daunting when faced together. Navigating the city's seedy underbelly, Kale and Celine slip through narrow, shadowed alleys, each step a test of trust. The rebels' safe house lies concealed within the twisting maze of dilapidated buildings and flickering neon signs. Patrols of loyalist soldiers scour the streets relentlessly, their piercing flashlights cutting through the night. The pair moves silently, evading detection with practiced stealth, hearts racing beneath the cloak of darkness. Every whispered command and shared glance reinforces the fragile alliance binding Rogue and royalty. Inside the safe house, the air hums with whispered plans and guarded hope. Here, rebels gather, outsiders united by common cause, wary but willing to accept Celine's royal blood and Cale's cunning. This infiltration is more than a physical risk. It is a gamble on trust, a tentative step toward uniting fractured factions against a common enemy. Under the muted glow of a makeshift lantern, Celine confesses her deepest fear, the loss of her people, the shattering of everything she holds dear. Her voice, usually regal and unyielding, cracks with vulnerability. Cale's response is steady and unwavering. "I'm not letting that happen," he promises, his hand briefly reaching out to grasp hers, grounding her in the storm of doubt. This quiet strength, born from years of hardship and survival, becomes a lifeline for Celine, a symbol of unwavering support amidst chaos. Their shared resolve crystallizes in that moment, transforming fragile hope into firm determination. Together, they embody resistance not just against external enemies, but against the despair threatening to consume them both. In the dim flicker of candlelight, the world outside fades away. Their hands brush, tentative and electric, a silent promise forged from desperation and hope. Neither speaks, but the unspoken vow binds them more tightly than words ever could. It is a fragile trust born of shared danger, a beacon that pierces the encroaching darkness. This fleeting touch marks the beginning of something deeper, a connection that will carry them through the trials ahead. In this fragile moment, Cale and Celine find a rare sanctuary, a brief respite where fear yields to possibility, and two unlikely guardians become something more than allies. The shadows of the palace may stretch long, but here, in the quiet of their union, light flickers stubbornly on. Cale's fingers danced over the sleek console as he breached the Imperial Archive's deepest layers. Encrypted data vaults resisted with silent fury, but his resolve was stronger. Flickering holoscreens revealed classified files that chilled him to the core, a secret weapon codenamed the Silent Veil. Designed not for conventional warfare, this insidious device targeted psychic abilities, erasing dissent before it could manifest. The Emperor's cruelty was encoded in every line, a ruthless plan to suffocate rebellion by extinguishing the very minds that dared resist. Cale's face hardened, the weight of this revelation pressing down like a shadow over the Empire's gilded throne. Each schematic and report breathed life into the nightmare he feared. The Silent Veil was no myth but a looming apocalypse. The gravity of his discovery made his mission clear: to stop the Emperor's weapon before it unleashed devastation across Vizara Prime and beyond. The Silent War had already begun. The data revealed the weapon's true terror. It targeted those with psychic potential, nullifying their very essence. Cale's gaze shifted to Celine, whose eyes flickered with nascent, untamed power. Her latent psychic abilities made her the Emperor's prime target, a threat that had to be eliminated to secure his dominion. This was no longer just a political power struggle. It was a fight for survival, for the protection of an ancient bloodline that Celine embodied. The weapon's destructive reach could annihilate not only armies, but the hope embedded in those rare few with such gifts. Celine's power, fragile yet fierce, was the ember that could ignite rebellion or be snuffed out in an instant. Cale realized that safeguarding her meant more than protecting a princess. It meant defending the future itself. The stakes were higher than he had ever imagined, and the line between ally and enemy blurred under the looming threat of obliteration. Celine's voice grew soft as she recounted the ghosts of her past. Her childhood had been a cage of secrecy and suppression, a life shaped by fear and loss. She recalled clandestine training sessions meant to dampen her psychic gifts, the cold eyes of Imperial enforcers watching her every move, and the agonizing disappearances of friends who dared to resist. Betrayal had come not just from enemies, but from those sworn to protect her. Trusted tutors and guardians turned into jailers. These memories were scars etched deep within her soul, fueling her determination to dismantle the Empire's iron grip. The personal stakes of this rebellion crystallized in her confession, revealing a warrior forged not in privilege but in pain. Cale listened, his skepticism melting into empathy as he understood the fierce fire driving her rebellion. A fight for freedom born from the very shadows of her upbringing. Within the archives, Cale uncovered a sealed imperial edict stamped with a blood-red seal, hidden away from prying eyes. The document ordered the capture or elimination of the false heir, a secret designation for Selene herself. The revelation shattered illusions and confirmed what had been whispered in hushed tones. Selene was not merely a princess, but a hidden bloodline, a rightful claimant whose existence threatened the Emperor's reign. This dark decree laid bare the Emperor's paranoia and ruthless intent to erase her entirely. The stakes of their mission deepened. Protecting Selene was not only an act of rebellion, but a battle to preserve a legacy the Emperor sought to obliterate. Cale's jaw clenched as the full scope of the Empire's deadly game came into focus. The weight of truth settled heavily in the air as Cale's resolve hardened. "This isn't just politics, it's war on a bloodline," he muttered, voice edged with grim determination. What had begun as a fight against tyranny had morphed into a desperate struggle for survival, an ancient lineage under siege. The political machinations of the Emperor now revealed themselves as a war waged not merely on bodies, but on identity and legacy. Cale's partnership with Selene transformed from convenience to conviction. Protecting her became his cause, his rebellion against a regime steeped in fear and oppression. Together, they were not just fugitives. They were the last line of defense against the darkness intent on erasing the light of hope for Vizara Prime's heart. Alarms echoed through the palace's corridors as a digital countdown flashed ominously. The Silent Veil's activation loomed mere hours away. Time was bleeding fast. The weapons systems powered up beneath the city's surface, ready to unleash psychic devastation upon anyone who dared oppose the Emperor. The red glow of emergency lights bathed Vizara Prime in an eerie hue, signaling the impending apocalypse. Every second that ticked away brought the rebellion closer to extinction. Cale's urgency sharpened, every decision burdened with the knowledge that failure meant obliteration, not just of their cause, but of the very essence of freedom. The race against time had become a battle for the soul of the Empire. With rapid keystrokes, Cale unleashed a torrent of evidence, encrypted files, schematics, and irrefutable proof, broadcasting the existence of the Silent Veil to the Empire's underground rebel networks. The message surged through hollow networks and clandestine channels, sparking outrage and fear among dissenters. This revelation shattered the illusion of imperial invincibility, galvanizing fractured factions into a united front. The digital call to arms ignited a wildfire of rebellion, spreading hope to those who believed their voices had been silenced. Cale's act transformed him from hunted rogue into a beacon of resistance, his gamble reigniting the fight for Vizara Prime's future and challenging the Emperor's iron grasp. In a quiet, solemn moment, Selene bestowed upon Cale the codename Shadow Guard, her guardian in the darkness that threatened to consume them both. This name was more than a title. It was a vow to stand unseen, to protect her from all threats lurking in shadows. It symbolized the deepening bond between them, a partnership forged not only by necessity, but by trust and shared destiny. Cale accepted the mantle with quiet pride, knowing his role as Shadow Guard was the shield between Selene and the Empire's ruthless reach, a promise that in the darkest hours, he would be her unwavering protector. Their forearms clasped tightly in a firm, unyielding grip, Cale and Selene sealed their promise. "I'll fight for your light, even in the shadows." This gesture embodied their shared commitment to resist overwhelming darkness, standing together as a beacon of hope against tyranny. The touch was more than symbolic. It was a pact of solidarity and strength, a declaration that neither would face the coming storm alone. Their intertwined destinies now bound by mutual courage, they prepared to face the Empire's wrath with unwavering hearts and steadfast resolve. Kale readied himself for the perilous infiltration of the weapons control chamber deep within the Imperial Palace. He checked his gear, stealth tech, encrypted comms, and a concealed blaster, each piece essential for the mission's success. Meanwhile, Celine closed her eyes, centering herself as psychic energy gathered around her, her power growing with focused intensity. The air crackled as her abilities surged, intertwining with Kale's calculated plans. They were poised on the brink of confrontation, one moving through shadows, the other harnessing light within. Together, they embodied hope and defiance, ready to challenge the Empire's most devastating weapon and rewrite the fate of Azara Prime. News of the Silent Veil's existence spread like wildfire, uniting rebels and dissidents across Vizara Prime and beyond. From hidden enclaves to war-torn districts, factions rallied behind Kale and Celine's cause, swelling the ranks of resistance fighters. The fragile coalition grew stronger, bonded by a shared purpose to overthrow the Emperor's tyranny. Hollow meetings buzzed with plans and strategies as leaders forged alliances, pooling resources and intelligence. The rebellion's tide was rising, transforming scattered embers of defiance into a blazing force capable of challenging the imperial regime. Kale and Celine stood at the forefront of this awakening, the unyielding spark of a revolution reborn. As the countdown to the Silent Veil's activation neared its end, Kale and Celine stood side by side atop the palace's highest tower, silhouetted against a horizon tinged with the first light of dawn. Around them, the city trembled with the rumble of impending battle. "We fight for the dawn," Kale declared, voice steady and resolute. Celine's eyes blazed with unwavering determination as their hands clasped tightly, a united front against overwhelming darkness. They were two against an empire, bound by blood, purpose, and the hope of a new beginning. Together, they prepared to face the storm, knowing that their courage could ignite the spark to topple a dynasty and restore light to a fractured world. The moment the secret of the Silent Veil leaked, the city erupted in fury. Streets once subdued by imperial order now surged with roaring crowds. Angry citizens and rebels clashing violently, with loyalist forces desperate to hold control. Fires scorched the base of towering spires, black smoke rising to stain the night sky. Makeshift barricades and flaming debris transformed avenues into war zones. Shouts echoed through narrow alleys as defiance burned brighter than ever. The populace, fueled by betrayal and hope, refused to bow beneath the Emperor's tightening grip. Every footstep was a challenge, every cry a demand for justice. The air crackled with tension, charged with the raw energy of a rebellion awakened. Vizara Prime was no longer a silent city, but a roaring storm on the edge of revolution, where the price of freedom was paid in fire and blood. Beneath the chaos, hidden networks sprang into relentless motion. Rebel cells received streams of weapons, ammunition, and vital intelligence, funneled through covert smugglers and skilled hackers who turned back alleys into armories. Every hidden workshop buzzed with frantic activity as dissidents crafted explosives, calibrated energy weapons, and coded encryption for secure comms. The city's underground veins pulsed with collaboration, data streams flickering across holographic maps, guiding fighters to crucial supply drops and rally points. This surge of coordination transformed ragtag groups into a formidable force, ready to contest every inch of the city. Smugglers slipped past loyalist patrols with caches of gear, while cyber warriors disrupted enemy communications. The rebellion was no longer fragmented. It had found its rhythm, armed not only with weapons but with determination and unity that would challenge even the most ruthless imperial enforcers. The Emperor's response was swift and merciless. Elite enforcers, clad in armor that gleamed with cold precision, stormed the streets. These warriors, trained for ruthless efficiency, carried advanced energy weapons that cut through rebel defenses with brutal force. Their psychic probes emitted eerie pulses designed to locate hidden insurgents and crush pockets of resistance before they could grow. As the enforcers advanced, the city's streets morphed into battlegrounds. Explosions tore through barricades while psychic waves rippled outward, disrupting communication and sowing fear. Civilians fled or hid as the Imperial forces imposed their iron will, desperate to crush the uprising before it could take root. Yet beneath the onslaught, the rebels held firm, their resolve hardened by the knowledge that the very survival of freedom hung in the balance. The city had become a war zone where every step forward demanded sacrifice. Amid the turmoil, Kale seized control of hacked Imperial communication channels, his voice slicing through the static with unwavering clarity. "We are the storm they fear." His words spread like wildfire, shattering the chains of fear that had bound scattered rebels and civilians. Screens across the city flashed with his defiant message, igniting sparks of courage in hearts long subdued. Fighters paused in their skirmishes, clenched fists rising as one unified force. His broadcast was more than a call to arms. It was a declaration that the people of Azara Prime would no longer be pawns in the Emperor's game. Through his voice, Kale became a beacon, lighting the way toward a rebellion united by hope, vengeance, and an unyielding hunger for justice. The storm was gathering, and it would not be silenced. At the forefront of the uprising, Selene wielded her growing psychic powers to shield rebel strongholds from the insidious reach of the Silent Veil's probes. Her warriors, trained in psychic defense, formed luminous barriers shimmering with energy that blocked detection and disruption. The psychic shields pulsed like living walls, bending and warping the Imperial probe's signals, rendering entire sectors invisible to the enemy's surveillance. Selene's calm, focus, and fierce determination inspired those around her, her presence a rallying symbol of resilience and hope. She moved among her warriors with quiet authority, her eyes glowing softly as she channeled protective energy. Where her powers touched, fear was pushed back and resistance flourished. The psychic shield was more than defense. It was a declaration that the spirit of rebellion would not be erased. As loyalist forces tightened their siege, rebels threw themselves into frantic preparations to fortify every stronghold. Barricades were reinforced with scavenged materials and energy fields, traps laid in narrow passages to halt Imperial advances. Fighters labored side by side under the relentless pressure of assault, their hands steady despite exhaustion. Explosions flared against the night sky as improvised weapons met advancing enforcers. Each defense was a testament to their unyielding spirit, a message that they would not yield without a fight. Command posts buzzed with tactical planning, while medics tended wounds in makeshift clinics. The rebels' determination burned hotter with each attack, fueled by the knowledge that their survival depended on holding ground. Retreat was impossible. Every fortified wall was a line drawn in the sand. Beneath the burning sky, a diverse multitude gathered, citizens, rebels, and psychic warriors united in shared purpose. Their chants rose in unison, a thunderous declaration echoing through the city's shattered streets. We protect our home. We fight for freedom. Flags bearing symbols of rebellion fluttered against plumes of smoke and flame. This collective defiance was no longer fractured whispers, but a resounding chorus that filled the air with hope and determination. Kale and Selene stood side by side atop a battered rooftop, watching the uprising swell like a tidal wave. Their eyes met, sharing the quiet strength born of leadership and trust. Together, they embodied the spirit of Azara Prime's resistance. One voice, one cause, unbreakable and fierce. Kale stands silently amidst the dimly lit medical tents where wounded rebels lie in rows, their faces bruised and streaked with dirt. Medics move swiftly, stitching torn uniforms and murmuring prayers, while others comfort those too weak to speak. The heavy scent of antiseptic mingles with a metallic taste of loss. Each injury tells a story of sacrifice and survival. Shadows cast by flickering lamps reflecting the fragile hope lingering despite the toll. Kale's eyes sweep over the weary faces, absorbing the cost of rebellion. Friends lost, dreams shattered, and futures uncertain. The victories gained in battle feel hollow against the backdrop of pain. In this quiet, the rebellion's harsh truth settles in. Freedom demands a price few are ready to pay. In the solitude of a flickering candlelit chamber, Celine lowers her gaze, fingers trembling as she whispers, "What if I'm the spark that destroys everything we fight for?" Her voice cracks with the weight of her secret burden. The fear is raw. She fears that her latent powers and royal blood may bring ruin rather than salvation. Memories of loss and betrayal haunt her, blending with the immense pressure of leadership. The silence around her deepens, as if the shadows themselves listen, bearing witness to her vulnerability. This rare confession reveals the fractures beneath her strength, the human fear beneath the crown. Yet even as doubt threatens to consume her, the ember of hope remains, fragile but unextinguished. Kale steps forward, his voice steady and unwavering as he places a firm hand on Celine's shoulder. "We don't fight for victory alone, we fight for hope." The words are a lifeline, anchoring them in the chaos of war. He sees past her doubt to the courage that fuels their cause. His gaze holds a promise of steadfast support and shared purpose beyond survival or politics. In this moment, their alliance deepens, forged not just in battle but in belief. Kale's resolve becomes a beacon in the darkness, illuminating the path ahead. Together, they embody the rebellion's heart, a movement driven by the unyielding desire for a future where freedom and light prevail. Beneath the surface of their unity, tension simmers. Unspoken fears and exhaustion weave invisible cracks in their bond. In the shadowed corridors of the rebel camp, Kale and Celine walk side by side, their steps measured but distant. Brief glances exchange hints of doubt, weariness threatening to fray the edges of trust. The weight of endless vigilance and looming threats creates moments of silence heavier than words. Yet, neither dares to falter fully. Both recognize that their fragile partnership is the rebellion's backbone. Though tested by pressure, the alliance holds a delicate balance of strength and vulnerability, where loyalty is both challenged and reaffirmed. This silent rift, though real, becomes the quiet space where resilience is born. One evening, beneath the cold light of a single lantern, Celine's voice softens with hesitant hope. "Will you stay when the dust settles?" The question lingers between them, an unspoken challenge and a plea for certainty beyond the chaos. It is a test of Kale's loyalty, a glimpse toward a future uncertain yet yearned for. Her eyes search his, searching for a promise not just of presence, but of partnership beyond the battlefield. The weight of her question presses on the fragile hopes they share, reminding them both that revolution is more than war. It is the forging of new lives. The moment is fragile, suspended between fear and faith. Kale's hand reaches out, clasping hers with unwavering strength. "I'm not leaving your side," he says firmly, his voice resonant with commitment. The promise is more than words. It is a vow to stand beside her through darkness and dawn, to be a shield and companion. Their fingers intertwine, the tension breaking as shared smiles light their faces. In this gesture, their alliance renews, rooted in trust, forged in fire. Kale's vow fortifies their resolve and sends ripples through the rebel ranks, a symbol that the fight is not fought alone. Together, they embody the resilience necessary to carry the rebellion forward, bound by loyalty and the promise of a shared future. The Shadow Guard emblem on Kale's wrist pulses softly, its gentle glow a beacon amid the Empire's suffocating darkness. This symbol represents more than rank. It embodies the unbreakable bond between protector and charge, a light cutting through the encroaching shadows. As the emblem's radiance spreads across rebel comm devices and banners, it becomes a rallying point for all who dare resist. The emblem's steady pulse mirrors the heartbeat of the rebellion itself, fragile yet unyielding. Beneath the vast starry sky, Kale and Celine stand united, their bond rekindled and their purpose clear. In the darkest of times, the Shadow Guard shines bright, a promise of hope, strength, and the courage to carry on. The tide of rebellion surged as key districts within Vizara Prime fell into rebel hands, shaking the imperial grip on the capital. Streets once dominated by loyalist patrols echoed with the footsteps of citizens returning from hiding, their faces painted with a blend of cautious hope and guarded optimism. Makeshift barricades, once symbols of desperate defense, transformed into vibrant hubs of community and coordination. Rebel flags fluttered defiantly atop rooftops, catching the first light of dawn as neighborhoods reclaimed their identities. Markets slowly reopened, and whispered conversations grew into public declarations of freedom. Every liberated block was a victory not just of arms, but of spirit, a tangible shift in the city's heartbeat. Children played where gunfire once shattered silence, and the air filled with the sense of cooking fires and renewed possibility. The rebellion's momentum, once fragile and uncertain, hardened into a force poised to rewrite the city's destiny. This was no longer mere survival. It was a resurgence, a rebirth born from ashes and sacrifice, signaling the opening of a hopeful chapter in Vizara Prime's turbulent history. From a concealed communications hub nestled deep within the rebel control quarter, Celine's voice radiated through every channel, crisp, clear, and resolute. Her message carried the weight of sacrifice endured and the promise of renewal. To all who hear this, she began, we stand united, not as fractured factions, but as one heart beating for justice and freedom. Her words wove a tapestry of shared struggle and collective hope, reaching isolated resistance cells scattered across the Empire's reaches. Faces in dark rooms and crowded hideouts brightened as her broadcast ignited courage and resolve. From whispered gatherings to roaring streets, the call to unity swelled, turning scattered embers into a blazing fire of rebellion. Celine spoke of rebuilding, not merely to replace the old, but to forge something better, free from tyranny's shadow. The broadcast became a lifeline, a beacon piercing the oppressive darkness that had long suffocated their lives. Through her voice, hope traveled beyond walls and borders, binding the fractured resistance into a single unstoppable force poised to reclaim their future. On a high balcony overlooking the newly liberated city, Kale and Celine stood side by side, their eyes meeting amidst the crescendo of cheers rising from below. The streets teemed with jubilant crowds waving flags and tossing confetti beneath a sky painted with the soft hues of dusk. Fireworks blossomed overhead, painting the night with bursts of color that mirrored the rebels' renewed spirit. In that shared glance, there was triumph, a silent acknowledgement of battles won and sacrifices made. But more than that, it was a moment steeped in resolve and unspoken understanding. They had become more than allies in war. Their bond symbolized the spirit of rebellion itself, a fusion of hope, courage, and tenacity. The city's pulse quickened with possibility, a collective heartbeat breathing life into the promise of freedom. As the chants of the people echoed like thunder, Kale and Celine prepared to lead not just a fight, but a movement reborn from the ashes of oppression. In the quiet aftermath of celebration, away from the clamoring crowds, Kale and Celine clasped hands against the backdrop of the rising sun, its golden rays spilling warmth over the city's awakening skyline. Their eyes reflected a solemn promise to rebuild the empire not as rulers clinging to power, but as guardians of justice, equality, and liberty. The vow marked a turning point, a commitment to heal the deep wounds inflicted by decades of fear and tyranny. Together, They envisioned a society where the shadows of oppression no longer dictated the lives of its people, a world where voices silenced for too long could finally be heard. Around them, citizens and construction crews moved purposefully, repairing what was broken and planting the seeds of a new beginning. This pledge was more than words. It was a call to action, a blueprint for a future shaped by compassion and courage. In this shared purpose, Kale and Celine embodied the dawn of a new era, one forged from the lessons of the past and the hopes for a brighter tomorrow. Kale leads a hand-picked strike team through the labyrinthine corridors of the Imperial stronghold, every step measured and silent. The air is thick with tension as flickering red warning lights pulse, illuminating cold metallic walls scarred by years of neglect. The team moves like shadows, blades drawn, weapons primed, each member synchronized in deadly precision. Kale hacks security consoles on the fly, disabling laser grids and surveillance drones that patrol relentlessly. Elite guards, clad in black armor etched with Imperial insignias, attempt to intercept, but the rebels neutralize them with swift, calculated strikes. The corridors echo with muffled gunfire and whispered commands as the group pushes deeper into the heart of the Silent Vale. Kale's focus sharpens with every obstacle overcome, aware that the weapons core lies just beyond the next door. The fate of Vizara Prime, and the rebellion itself, hinges on their success. Each corridor breached is a step closer to dismantling tyranny's greatest weapon, a beacon of hope piercing the Empire's darkest fortress. Amid the chaos of battle, Celine steps forward, her presence commanding the battlefield. Channeling the depths of her burgeoning psychic powers, she unleashes waves of shimmering energy that ripple outward, distorting the very air. Enemies caught in the blast are thrown back violently, their formations shattered like glass under pressure. Loyalist soldiers clutch their heads, disoriented by the invisible force tearing through their ranks. Around her, a radiant psychic shield forms, glowing like a pale aurora that deflects incoming energy blasts and missiles, protecting rebel fighters as they advance. Celine's eyes glow with fierce determination, every movement precise and filled with purpose. Her psychic aura pulses in tandem with the rhythm of battle, inspiring hope among the rebels while sowing confusion and fear among Imperial loyalists. The battlefield shifts as her power cascades through the chaos, turning the tide and paving a path toward victory. Allies rally to her side, their resolve fortified by the radiant force that stands defiant against overwhelming oppression. Deep within the weapons control chamber, surrounded by ominous machinery humming with latent power, Kale and Celine stand back to back. Their eyes burn with fierce resolve, shadows flickering across their faces as alarms blare faintly in the distance. "We end this, together," Kale declares, voice steady and unwavering. Celine nods, her psychic energy pulsing softly around her fingertips, a tangible manifestation of her commitment. The room vibrates with tension, the very air charged with anticipation. Despite the encroaching darkness, their unity forms a radiant beacon of hope and defiance. In this crucible of conflict, their partnership transcends survival. It is a declaration of resistance, a promise to dismantle the Empire's most insidious weapon. No matter the cost, they stand ready to face the coming storm as one. Their intertwined fates symbolize the dawn breaking through the Empire's long night, a battle cry echoing across the sector that tyranny will fall. With deft precision, Kale initiates the data purge protocols embedded within the Silent Vale's core systems. Holographic blueprints and schematics flicker and burn away, shards of data scattering into encrypted rebel networks like stardust cast upon the void. Each fragment carries secrets that could have fueled future oppression, now transformed into open knowledge for the resistance. Engineers and hackers across the sector seize upon these torrents, decoding and repurposing the technology to develop new defenses and tools for liberation. The act is both a tactical strike and symbolic gesture, destroying the weapon's physical presence while disseminating its essence to empower the many. This digital rebellion spreads quickly, breaking the monopoly of power the Empire once held. The Silent Veil's shadow dissolves into a wave of enlightenment and hope, proving that knowledge, once freed, becomes a weapon stronger than any forged in steel. The loss of the Silent Veil's core shatters the morale of Imperial forces. Commanders, once unyielding, surrender in dimly lit cells as loyalist units fracture under the relentless rebel pressure. Whispers of defection ripple through the ranks, with factions abandoning the Emperor's cause to join the swelling rebellion. The iron grip that once strangled Vizara Prime weakens visibly as key strongholds fall and communication lines dissolve. Citizens watch in awe as symbols of imperial authority crumble, replaced by banners of resistance and freedom. The Empire's collapse is not instantaneous, but unfolds as a domino effect, an unstoppable unraveling fueled by decades of suppressed anger and renewed hope. The city breathes a collective sigh as the shadow of tyranny recedes, giving way to the first true dawn in generations. In the wake of victory, rebel leaders and survivors gather beneath the shattered palace's grand archways to forge the Dawn Accord. The treaty pledges equality, justice, and a commitment to rebuild a society free from fear and oppression. Delegates from diverse factions raise their hands in solemn agreement, their voices blending into a chorus of hope and determination. The Accord marks a new chapter, a foundation laid on shared sacrifice and a vision for a just empire. It binds former enemies into allies and calls on all citizens to participate in shaping their collective destiny. The ceremony resonates beyond Vizara Prime, sending ripples through the sector that herald the birth of a new era, one where power serves the people rather than suppressing them. The Shadow Guard emblem, once a symbol of rebellion whispered in hushed tones, now flies proudly from flags, armors, and monuments throughout Vizara Prime. The ancient glyph, reimagined as a seedling encased in a star, symbolizes resilience and rebirth. Citizens wear patches and adorn vehicles with the emblem, a constant reminder of the struggle endured and the courage required to overcome. It serves as both a tribute to those who sacrificed and an inspiration for future generations. The emblem is a beacon, rallying people to protect their newfound freedom and reminding all that even in the darkest times, hope can flourish and resistance can prevail. Vizara Prime awakens beneath a sky painted with the warm glow of a new dawn. Streets once scarred by conflict teem with life, as rebuilding efforts unite diverse communities. Gardens bloom where ashes fell, markets buzz with activity, and children play beneath towering spires that once symbolized oppression. From the palace balcony, Kale and Celine watch this transformation, a city reborn through sacrifice and courage. Their eyes reflect a future bright with possibility, an empire no longer ruled by fear, but illuminated by freedom's steady light. Together, they stand as stewards of this new era, guardians of a hope forged in fire and determination. The long night has ended, and Vizara Prime rises, a shining beacon to all who dare dream of a better tomorrow. The people of Vizara Prime have begun the monumental task of rebuilding their shattered city. Where once crumbled stone and twisted metal told tales of destruction, now vibrant gardens bloom, bursting with color and life. Citizens work side by side, clearing debris, repairing homes, and planting trees whose roots promise a future far different from the scars of war. Streets, once silent, now echo with the laughter of children running through freshly restored parks, their joyous sounds mingling with the steady rhythm of hammers and saws. Market stalls reopen, laden with fruits, handmade goods, and stories of survival. The air is thick with the scent of earth and renewal, a tangible sign that from the ashes of conflict, hope springs eternal. Communities gather in open squares, sharing meals and memories, forging bonds that strengthen the social fabric. This renewal is more than physical. It is a collective healing, a reclaiming of identity, and a commitment to nurture the peace they fought so hard to achieve. Vizara Prime breathes again, a city reborn through resilience, care, and the indomitable spirit of its people. Celine steps into her role as a visionary leader, guiding newly formed councils dedicated to peace, justice, and reform. Around holographic tables illuminated by soft blue light, diverse representatives debate policies designed to heal old wounds and build inclusive governance. Her words inspire unity, emphasizing transparency and shared responsibility, while her presence commands respect and hope. Meanwhile, Kale dedicates himself to training the first generation of peacekeepers, guards who embody honor over intimidation. In sunlit training yards, recruits practice tactical maneuvers with discipline and compassion, learning not just to defend, but to serve the communities they protect. Kale's mentorship emphasizes restraint, respect for life, and the importance of earning the trust of the people. Together, Celine and Kale foster a culture of cooperation and vigilance, ensuring that the peace is not fragile, but firmly rooted in principles of justice. Their leadership blends wisdom from past struggles with a forward-looking vision, preparing the empire not just to survive, but to flourish. When offered the prestigious command of the newly established peacekeeping force, Kale surprises many by declining with a quiet smile. "My place is here, guarding beside her, not above," he states firmly, reaffirming the partnership that has become the foundation of their leadership. This choice reflects Kale's humility and deep respect for Celine's role as the Empire's guiding light. The decision strengthens their bond and sends a powerful message to the people. Leadership is not about hierarchy, but about shared purpose and mutual support. Peacekeepers stand united under the newly minted emblem, a symbol of vigilance tempered by compassion, ready to protect the fragile peace. Together, Kale and Celine exemplify a leadership style that values collaboration over command, resilience over dominance, and guardianship over control. As dawn breaks over Vizara Prime, twin suns cast their golden light across the revitalized cityscape. Kale and Celine stand hand in hand atop the palace balcony, their silhouettes outlined against the warm glow of a new day. Below, the city pulses with life, streets bustling, gardens thriving, and citizens moving forward with purpose. The quiet strength in their joined hands symbolizes a commitment to the future, a promise that this new era will be one of unity, hope, and enduring peace. The scars of the past remain, but they serve as reminders of resilience rather than chains of despair. Together, they watch as Vizara Prime awakens fully from its long night, ready to embrace the promise of a brighter tomorrow. In a serene courtyard bathed in the soft, golden light of early morning, a small child gently tugs at Princess Celine's sleeve, eyes wide and filled with innocent wonder. "Is it true the Emperor wanted you dead, and he sent a guardian to save you?" the child asks with hopeful curiosity. The simple question cuts through the weight of years spent in peril and rebellion, reminding everyone gathered of the deeply human heart at the center of their story. Around them, ancient trees sway lightly in a breeze, sunlight filtering through their leaves and casting delicate patterns on the stone pathways. The courtyard is alive with the quiet stirrings of a new dawn, where stories of sacrifice and survival are shared in whispered reverence, passing hope from one generation to the next. Kneeling down to the child's level, Celine meets their gaze with warmth and gentle strength. Her voice is soft, carrying the quiet power of dawn's first light as she speaks. He tried to snuff out the light, but found it shining in a shadow. Her words resonate with the resilience born from years of struggle and loss. Around her, sunlight casts long, protective shadows that seem to cradle her and the child in a promise of safety and renewal. Celine's serene expression reflects a compassion tempered by hardship, a beacon of hope that even the darkest threats could not extinguish. In this tender moment, the legacy of survival and defiance is crystallized, passing from the past into a hopeful future. Standing firmly beside Celine, Kale places a steady, reassuring hand on her shoulder. His presence is calm and unwavering, embodying the strength of their enduring partnership. And together, we protect that light. Always, he adds, his voice low but resolute. The gesture seals a vow of vigilance and hope shared between them, a promise that they will guard the fragile peace forged through sacrifice. Their silhouettes blend into one beneath the morning glow, symbolizing unity and shared purpose. In this quiet, powerful moment, Protector and Princess stand as guardians not just of each other, but of a brighter, freer future. Above them, the Shadow Guard emblem glows softly atop the palace dome, casting a warm, radiant light into the fading night. This emblem, a symbol of resilience, protection, and unyielding hope, stands as a testament to the battles fought and the victories won. Its gentle illumination reaches out to all who look up, inspiring courage and faith across the city below. Citizens pause in their daily routines, their eyes drawn upward with reverence, feeling the strength of the legacy embodied in that light. Even in the deepest darkness, the emblem promises that hope endures and heroes rise to meet whatever challenges lie ahead.